They say every neighborhood has that one house, the one nobody talks about. In New Orleans, that house belonged to Leonard Tate and his wife, Mariah. It was too big, too perfect, too quiet. The kind of house you'd swear looked out of place among the shotgun houses and cracked sidewalks. Its windows were always shuttered. Its halls were always silent. And its housekeepers? They never lasted long. Mariah Tate was a woman with sorrow written all over her face. Beautiful, but haunted. And if you lived in that neighborhood long enough, you'd hear the rumors. Her husband Leonard had a rule, a strange rule. When I eat, there must be no light, no lamp, no candle, no bulb, only darkness. At first, people thought it was nothing, just a rich man with an odd habit. But then the housekeepers started disappearing. One after another, black women from the poorer wards of New Orleans were hired, and then they were gone. No notes, no footprints, just gone. The police looked once. They found nothing. And in the South, when poor black women vanished, nobody looked twice. Mariah never spoke of it, but she knew. She always knew, because she could hear him at night. When the house was quiet and Leonard ate in the dark, the sounds weren't of a man chewing food. They were wet, heavy, the sound of tearing, the sound of crunching bone, the sound of something alive. One sticky summer evening, Mariah brought home a new housekeeper. Her name was Imani Harris, just 20 years old, bright, ambitious, skin like polished mahogany, hair tied back in a red scarf. She was saving money for nursing school. Mariah gave her the same warning she gave all the others. Her voice was low, trembling, as she whispered in the kitchen, "Don't ever go into that dining room when my husband eats. Do you understand?" Imani laughed nervously. "Why not, ma'am? He don't like company." Mariah forced a smile. Something like that. Just never do it. That night, Mariah prepared Leonard's dinner. Smothered pork chops, collard greens, cornbread. Imani carried the tray to the dining room. It was pitch black, curtains drawn, lights off. The only glow came from a street lamp outside, slicing silver across the table. Leonard sat at the head, hulking in shadow. His voice rumbled low. "Leave it there, and go." Imani hesitated. The darkness felt wrong, too thick, too heavy, like it was swallowing her whole. She placed the tray down and retreated. Mariah lingered by the door, trembling, and then the sound began. Not chewing, not swallowing, not pork chops. A wet tearing, a crunch, a slurp. Mariah pressed a hand over her mouth, tears stinging her eyes, because she already knew her husband wasn't eating food, and she prayed with everything in her that Imani would survive the week. Imani Harris was no fool. She came from the Ninth Ward, where a woman learned quick to trust her instincts or regret it, and everything in that house told her something was wrong. Too many locks on the basement door, too many scratches on the dining room floor, too much silence in a place that big. And then there was Mr. Tate himself. He never came out in the daylight. He moved slow, deliberate, like every step was calculated. His skin seemed too tight, his shoulders too broad, and his eyes, Lord, his eyes had a hunger in them that made her stomach knot. That second night, Mariah asked Imani to prepare the table. "Just set the plates. Don't stay when he eats." Mariah whispered. Imani frowned. "You say that like it's dangerous." Mariah didn't answer. Her hands just shook as she passed cornbread. The dining room was once again cloaked in darkness. Only this time, curiosity clawed at Imani's chest. She wanted to know why. Why the darkness? Why the secrecy? So she lingered. She set down the food, stepped back into the hall, and left the door cracked. Just a sliver. At first, she could only hear the scrape of silverware. But then it changed. The sound grew wet, viscous, like meat tearing from a bone. Imani leaned closer. Her breath caught. The faint beam of the streetlight caught something on the table. A hand. Not food, not pork. A brown-skinned hand, limp with chipped red nail polish. Imani's heart nearly exploded from her chest. She stumbled back, clapping a hand over her mouth to smother a scream. The door creaked. She froze. Leonard's voice slid through the darkness, low and jagged, like a growl wrapped in human words. "Did you see something, girl?" Imani couldn't breathe, couldn't move. Every instinct screamed run. But then Mariah appeared from the shadows, grabbing Imani's arm, pulling her away. "Go to your room," Mariah hissed. "Don't ever look again." Imani obeyed. She ran upstairs, her legs trembling, her chest heaving. But she already knew. She had seen enough. Because on that dining room table, Leonard Tate wasn't eating dinner. He was eating someone's maid before her. Imani didn't sleep that night. She lay awake on a narrow guest bed, staring at the ceiling, listening. Downstairs, the sound continued. Wet chewing, bones snapping, a chair scraping across the wooden floor. And once, just once, something that sounded like a muffled scream. Imani clutched her blanket tighter. Every nerve screamed at her to leave, to run into the humid New Orleans night and never look back. But fear held her, and Mariah's voice echoed in her mind. "Don't ever go in when he eats." Morning came slow, with a gray drizzle tapping at the shutters. Imani found Mariah in the kitchen, washing dishes with trembling hands. "Miss Mariah," Imani whispered, her voice cracking. "What is he? What did I see?" Mariah froze. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. "You didn't see anything. For your sake, child, don't speak of it again." But Imani pressed. "That was a hand. A hand. He was eating." Mariah slammed the dish down so hard it cracked. "Hush," she hissed. "You think you're the first maid to notice? The others, they ask questions too." Her voice faltered. She leaned in close. "And now they're gone." Imani's chest turned to ice. That was it. She couldn't stay another day in that house. She decided to run. That night, while Leonard ate in the dining room, the house groaning in darkness, Imani packed her bag. She waited until the sounds downstairs grew louder, wet tearing, a low rumble like growling. She crept down the back stairs, shoes in hand, her breath shallow. The front door was locked, 3 deadbolts. But the kitchen window? Maybe. Her trembling fingers worked the latch. The wood creaked. Rain hissed outside, cool and inviting. Freedom. But then, a voice behind her. Low. Hungry. Too close. Going somewhere, girl? Imani spun. Leonard was there, towering, filling the kitchen doorway, his face half lit by the faint glow of the storm. His lips glistened red, his teeth sharp, jagged, stained, and in his hand, the bone. Long human. Imani froze in that kitchen. Leonard Tate stood in the doorway, hulking and monstrous, a crimson smile cutting across his face. The bone in his hand dripped slick and fresh, the marrow glistening under the storm's light. Her bag slid from her grip, her knees locked. She couldn't breathe. Then, suddenly, Mariah appeared behind him. "Leonard," she snapped. Her voice was sharp, desperate. "Leave her. She's just a girl. You promised me." Leonard's eyes flicked to his wife, his face twisting with hunger and irritation. "You keep bringing them here, Mariah," he rumbled. "What you expect me to do? Starve?" Mariah's eyes filled with tears. "I bring them so the neighbors don't suspect. So you won't eat me." The words tore out of her like confession. Imani's blood ran cold. It wasn't an accident. It wasn't a curse of fate. Mariah had been luring housemaids into this house to feed her husband. Leonard took a step closer. Imani stumbled back against the counter, heart pounding. "Don't run, girl," he whispered, his voice thick with menace. "Running only makes it sweeter." But then Mariah stepped between them, spreading her arms. "No," she cried. "Not her. Please, Leonard. If you take her, I'm leaving you. I mean it." For a moment, silence. The storm outside seemed to pause. Leonard's jaw clenched. His eyes narrowed. Then slowly, he dropped the bone onto the tile with a wet clatter. "Fine," he growled. "Tonight." He turned and vanished into the shadows of the dining room, leaving only the stench of blood behind. Imani collapsed to the floor, shaking, tears streaming down her face. Mariah knelt beside her, gripping her hands. "Child, listen to me," Mariah whispered urgently. "I wanted to save you. I wanted at least one of them to live. You gotta understand, I'm trapped. He ain't a man no more. He's something else." Her voice cracked. "I made a deal to survive, but I can't keep doing it. You're the first one I told the truth to. Please help me stop him." And in that moment, Imani realized the most terrifying truth of all. The wife wasn't just a victim. She was a prisoner. Yes, but she was also an accomplice. For the first time since stepping into that cursed house, Imani had a sliver of hope. Mariah wanted to fight back. But hope in that house was a dangerous thing. That night, when Leonard locked himself away in the dining room again, Mariah whispered her plan. "We can't face him head on," she said, her voice trembling. "But maybe we can trap him. He hates the light. He can't bear it. That's why he eats in darkness. That's why he hides." Imani frowned. "Trap him with light?" Mariah nodded. "If we flood the dining room with brightness, maybe it'll weaken him. Maybe long enough for us to end it." Her hands shook as she pulled out an old oil lamp and a rusted kitchen knife. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. The house groaned as Leonard ate. The sound seeped through the walls, tearing, gnawing, slurping. Imani gagged, clutching the lamp tighter. Mariah whispered, "When I open the door, you light it. Don't hesitate." Her eyes burned with desperation. "If we fail, child, he'll eat us both." The moment came. Mariah's hand shook as she gripped the doorknob. She looked at Imani one last time, whispering a prayer under her breath. Then she flung the door wide. The lamp roared to life. Golden light burst into the dining room, and for the first time, Imani saw Leonard fully. Her scream caught in her throat. He wasn't just a man. His skin was stretched thin, veins bulging black beneath it. His mouth was too wide, teeth jagged and layered like a beast's. His fingers ended in thick, bone-crusted claws. His eyes, white, endless, starving. The table before him dripped red. Torn flesh scattered across the plates. A jawbone sat where cornbread should have been. And in the sudden light, he roared. The sound shook the walls. He staggered back, clutching his face, his skin blistering under the glow. Mariah screamed. "Now, Imani, the knife!" Imani's hands trembled. She rushed forward, blade shaking, her breath ragged. But Leonard's hand shot out faster than lightning. He grabbed the edge of the table and flung it aside with monstrous strength. Food and bone clattered across the floor. And with a howl that rattled the house, he lunged. The dining room exploded in chaos. Imani stumbled back, the knife clattering from her trembling hand. The lamp flickered, shadows bending wildly across the walls. Leonard was on her in seconds, faster than a man his size should move, his claws tearing into the wooden floor where she'd just been. Mariah screamed, grabbing a shard broken plate and slashing across his face. The beast roared, his skin sizzled where the lamplight touched, but his hunger was stronger than pain. He backhanded Mariah across the room. She slammed into the wall, crumpling, blood at her lips. "Mariah!" Imani shrieked. Leonard turned, eyes blazing, his jagged teeth gleaming in the lamplight. "Ungrateful woman," he snarled. "I spared you all these years, fed you comfort, fed you life, and now you betray me?" Mariah coughed, blood staining her gown. You ain't my husband no more. You a monster. You been one." Imani's hand brushed the knife again. She gripped it, heart pounding. The lamp's flame sputtered. She had seconds. Leonard lunged at Mariah, jaws opening wider than humanly possible. Imani screamed and charged. With every ounce of strength in her body, she drove a knife into his throat. The room shook with his roar. Blood, thick black, burning hot, splattered across the table, across Imani's arms. Leonard thrashed, claws raking deep into the wood, his body convulsing as the lamplight seared into him. For one breathless moment, Imani thought it hadn't worked. Then he collapsed. The monster fell face first into the remnants of his feast. His body spasmed once, twice, and then lay still. The house fell silent. Mariah dragged herself upright, her eyes glassy, her breath shallow. You did it," she whispered. Lord have mercy, you did it. Imani dropped the knife, her whole body shaking, tears streaming down her face. But the victory was bitter, because as the storm outside began to fade, Imani looked down at the corpse, and she saw his lips twitch, just the faintest curl. As if even in death, Leonard Tate was smiling. They buried him behind the house. Or at least, they tried. But sometimes, on stormy nights, neighbors still swear they hear chewing, coming from the Tate dining room. And the lights? They say they never stay on.